What's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 459 of the Smark Moments Smack Talk podcast, Hot Tags of the Week, where we'll be breaking down some of the current events, rumors, news, gossip, and anything else that's going down in the world of professional wrestling over the past few days that we feel like talking about. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango. Joining me, as always, is Robert DeFelice.
Hey.
And Stephen Wago.
Whoa.
Waha. I'm going to try to go with some other letters instead.
All right.
We're going to do the whole vowels here. Wee-hee. And if you want to why hi or whatever, I don't know what that would mean, but it's something. Let's just carry that on. If you want to do whatever you want to do, maybe you should do it in the comments. And if you're dropping a comment, what you should do is you should hop on over to the YouTube channel. While you're over there, hit that like button on the video and leave your comment, and hit the applause button if you actually want to be a part of that. Join the YouTube membership if you have the spare change and you want to do that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already. Ring that little notification bell as well to be aware of when we get new videos posted up on here. And then, kind of have some fun with us. Tell us your thoughts on the hot tags. Tell us your thoughts on anything else that's going on. Who should we add to the heel and face turn list that I haven't added? Whatever that is. Many more plugs to talk about in the future, but I will hold off on that right now. You don't want to do 10 minutes worth of plugs. You want to get into the hot tags. Let's get into one of them right now. That is actually something that I can plug something else with. It's fanboysanonymous.com, the website that I do things that are related to the movies and TV show spectrum, the video game stuff, comic books, anything on that you're going to find on fanboysanonymous.com, including, eventually, a breakdown of The Mandalorian Season 2. And why are we talking about that here? Well, because Sasha Banks was in the trailer for The Mandalorian Season 2. They really kind of hinted at the idea that she might be a Jedi. I
love that.
think it's cool. I think it's not going to work out all that well. I also think it's overhyped. And she's probably going to be in one episode and not play the biggest part.
I was surprised that she was announced for it. She did not, people said, out of all the wrestlers, do you think they'll grab to be a part of the Star Wars universe? Sasha Banks was definitely not at the top of that list. I'll give them a chance because as far as who they've casted in different roles, they've knocked it out of the park. If someone told me that Bill Burr would have been a great member of the Star Wars universe, I'd have been like, the fuck? And then you've got the guy that played Gus from Breaking Bad, who honestly is a badass Sith too. So as far as The Mandalorian goes, they've knocked it out of the park so far, so I'll give them a chance. But considering how shitty our promo skills can be sometimes, weird choice.
Is her Jedi character going to be one that laughs with every line?
Well, yeah, I think they're going to have to edit that into the character and just be a forced character trait. But
Forced.
I like this. It's fun. I'm a huge Sasha fan. Thought Mandalorian Season 1 was great. I had heard the rumors about this last year, wasn't it? Around Royal Rumble time, maybe a little bit before then. But I was surprised to see her actually there. I hope it's good, and I hope it's not what Tony suggested, where she's just in one episode and barely in it.
Well, look at it this way. I mean, Mandalorian Season 1 had these people that they made somewhat of a big deal about that were only in one episode. Like Ming-Na Wen was in, I think, one. And it was like, oh, she's been cast in The Mandalorian. Is she going to be like a bounty hunter? Is she going to do this, whatever? And she's in 10, 15 minutes worth of screen time or something. So I'm not expecting much. And trailers, whether it's a movie or a TV show or whatever, they show you things that catch your attention rather than show you things that follow through with if that's shown on there, it must be a big thing. How many movies have shown an action sequence where it's it looks like they're going to be hanging off the side of an airplane for half the movie, and it's a 4-second clip, and that was the full clip. I don't think Sasha Banks is going to be some big part of the season. I think she's going to be in one episode, and she'll probably be a mysterious character, and maybe she'll have some good stuff to do. But when
one
people are
sounds about right, because they've also got a very strong female lead in Gina Carano.
She's got that. She's going to get developed more. We've got the kid. We've got the Mandalorian that haven't been fully named or anything, but all those characters. And the one that was sort of the leader, I forget her name. The one that was kind of leading the religious pact out of a bunch of them, and she beat the shit out of people towards the end of the season.
Oh yeah, her. I forgot her name too, but she's a badass.
Yeah, they develop her character more and whatever. That's not to say that there's some quota on female characters or anything, but like Sasha doesn't strike me as someone that would be in 7 out of 10 episodes or something like that. She's probably doing a one shot, and she might be great. No matter what, I'm interested in checking it out because I like The Mandalorian season 1. It's the only thing during the Disney era of this new Star Wars that I've thought was actually good and not a disappointment in retrospect. I could go on rants, of course, about Last Jedi and everything like that another time.
You have.
Can and I have, and I will again in the future.
It is the way, Tony.
It is the way. You know what else is the way? Following the Patreon. Subscribe to that if you are part of that. Patreon.com/SmarkOutMoment if you want to help us grow in the future and you want this channel to pump out more content, then one of the best ways to do that is to just directly fund that. There's the Pick Your Poison tier where you can pick what you would want, but maybe you don't necessarily have all that to give, and at the way that the world is these days, that makes perfect sense. But even $1 goes a long way. So if you do have a buck, you want to pass it our way, do that through there. $10 and up gives you access to the dark casts that are Patreon exclusive. If you're following us on the YouTube membership side of things, that is going to be applicable to that too. It's either going to be something that's separate or it's the same. I'm not entirely sure yet. Right now, we don't have any circumstances where we have to figure that out, but when push comes to shove, it's either going to be separate shows that are YouTube exclusive and you'd have to do both, or more than likely, the more that I'm thinking about it, that seems kind of shitty to do, to have people have to subscribe to 2 things just to get extra episodes. So it's probably going to be Patreon and YouTube exclusive, same episodes. You can pick which one, not have to do twice. But if you want something else different like that, maybe you do want that house show idea, we'll keep that in mind. Also, follow us on Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment. Let's get that out of the way right now, too. But if you're following Fanboys and you're following Smark Out Moment and all that other kind of stuff, that's good. And you will hear more content about The Mandalorian on Fanboys. You will hear more content about that on Smark Out Moment, too, because it's one of our few little crossover things that we can do. So, hot tags in the future, Weekend Geek in the future. Pretty cool. Speaking about future ideas and different services and platforms and stuff, we know that WWE wants to have their own Cameo. Well, Pro Wrestling Tees is already getting that started. They filed a trademark for something called Shoot, which is going to be their own Cameo service for wrestlers. And I think that they are going to have a better time doing this than the WWE is. They got a name already figured out. They have a fan base that knows that if they go to Pro Wrestling Tees, they can follow lots of indie content. And if you've got a wide network of indie wrestlers from any promotion that can be a part of this, that's a lot easier to get some fun and interesting things than WWE specific. WWE would have their own rules and regulations. They would impose kind of problems that would get in the way of these things. They would probably even tell certain people that they can't have their own Cameo thing. If it was like, we don't think that anybody's going to pay for a Killian Dane thing, so we don't want to make an account for you and have somebody manage that account. They probably would force it to be only the top superstars. Meanwhile, Pro Wrestling Tees Shoot, or Pro Wrestling Shoots, or whatever they want to call themselves, it'd be like, hey, you're a wrestler, you want to sign up? Go ahead and do it. We get a cut of the price. That's it. Makes sense. I think it's a good idea.
Question is, how much is WWE going to take compared to some of these other guys too? So I'm out of the loop. Cameo's that thing where someone paid $400 for Alexa Bliss to turn them down?
Yep.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm glad that wrestlers are going to have more of a market to make money on, so it's dope that they've set that up independently. As far as WWE goes, I hate this whole idea, but people can't make third-party money. It's ridiculous, but I could harp on about independent contractors all day.
Well, I think this is stupid because if you're a wrestler on any level, why wouldn't you just sign up for the big Cameo platform instead of trying to, make your fan base go here? Just, go where everybody else is. It's this weird thing.
I imagine that somebody who, not everybody's the target audience here because most people aren't going to spend money on this type of shit. If you put it all in one place, maybe a money mark really does just go to town because they just see a bunch of other people listed in the same place and just do a whole bunch. I don't know.
I could see benefits of both circumstances because if you're on Cameo, you might get some extra people that aren't into pro wrestling. But what's the likelihood that people are going to be browsing pro wrestlers and want to take advantage of that through Cameo? If you're on the pro wrestling network of some sort, you might stumble across another performer through that because you can watch other people's cameos, right?
Yeah.
So people might go like, hey, who's this guy? I'm going to click on that one. Who's this girl? Whatever. And then they might end up being a fan of you through that kind of thing. But I think the big hook is going to be, what does Pro Wrestling Tees charge versus Cameo? If Cameo takes, anybody know how much do they get? Like,
no, see, like that's the part I wouldn't know how much they take from
arbitrary number. Let's say they take 10% for the sake of it. If Cameo's like, we get 10% of whatever you earn, and this Pro Wrestling Tees shoot thing says, we'll take 8% of whatever you earn. If I'm a wrestler, I'm going to go over there. I'm just going to earn more money. It's going to be more of a network that's like that. Now, if they go, we're going to charge 15%, then I'd stick with Cameo. Because then at that point, what's the likelihood that somebody that knows an indie wrestler is not going to be following their Twitter account? And their Twitter account, they could just say like, hey, look at this. This is my Cameo link. They don't need the network to kind of do the networking for them, you know?
Well, I imagine they're also going to be in some situations where they go, hey, you're a bigger name, we're going to give you a way better deal than everyone else, just so that we've got a big star to attract other wrestlers to our area, not just fans.
That's true. Like, if they could get people from AEW, like the Young Bucks, to be a part of that, then people are going to start flocking to the service. So maybe they give them, hey, maybe we'll only take 5% of your deals, because you're going to get more deals in the grand scheme of things, and we're going to make money off of your 5% than some Yahoo in the middle of nowhere that we're going to get 30% of his nothing, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not an economist. I've never been into economics and stuff like that, but I would assume one of the rules of economics would be it's better to earn a large percent of, or a small percent of a large number than a large percent of a small number. And yeah, I'd rather get 1% of Apple stock than to get, 100% of tout. Like, I'd take 100% of tout though. I'm sure they got more money than I do.
Yeah.
But I like the name. Shoot.
It is actually.
Oh wow.
The name Shoot works, that's cool.
It definitely does. It's better than Shout Out, which I was trying to say for WWE's personal cameo. But I don't know. We'll see how it lasts. I'm saying this, but I definitely know several people in my own life that would flock to the service if it meant getting Best Friends and Orange Cassidy and Griff Garrison even, So people will do it because they're cheap.
There might even be like coupon deals and stuff like that too. Like, hey, if you sign up for this service and you pay X amount of money per month, then you get a certain percentage off of everybody that you take advantage of or something. I don't know how these things work, but like, it's a good idea to get into it. If they try and it doesn't work, then whatever. How much money are they really going to invest in this? It seems like it's one of those things where most of it's done with somebody holding up their cell phone, and then you just have a back end. Uber makes a shit ton of money, and you know what? They don't have a single car, as far as I'm aware.
Correct.
So if this is going to be the Uber for people going, hey, this is, Orange Cassidy or whatever, thumbs up. Congrats, Becky.
His shit would stress me so much because, like, for example, even somebody like Brian Pillman Jr., it's like $30 a cameo. And I get pissed off if I paid $30 to cheer my friend up, and he just goes, hey, here's half a thumb up. And it's just like, oh, you fucking...
If Orange Cassidy did that?
Like, yeah, like...
It might even be worth it, though. Would you rather spend $30 on Orange Cassidy giving you a thumbs up, or would you rather spend $400 on Alexa Bliss saying no for asking her out on a date? Some dude did it.
$400 to tell someone that you won't fuck them.
Roman Reigns is getting like $500 a pop, and many people were doing it. I mean, Cameo was successful for several wrestlers, so this will be too. I just don't know if it's going to be worth the amount of effort that they're going to put into it.
I'm wondering when this is going to go live.
Christmas. I don't know why that came to mind, but Christmas.
Yeah. It'll is it going to come before or after people get their PlayStation 5s?
Probably before. I couldn't get you a PS5, but I spent $30 on Orange Cassidy telling you sorry.
Yeah. Let's move on to, we just talked about video games. Let's move on to this topic. We don't talk video games too much on this channel. Maybe more on Fanboys. Go ahead and check fanboysanonymous.com. But we do have to talk about what's the thumbnail for this one, which is that WWE 2K Battlegrounds, the game that was supposed to be the savior of following up on the 2K franchise after that was a complete fumble last year, immediately on launch ran into legal issues. It's a situation where they took an image of Tessa Blanchard from Impact Wrestling after she won the championship. She's posing with the title and everything like that. Somebody on their team literally took the image, photoshopped out the background, slapped on a filter, and said, "Job done."
I told you guys off the air, I think this is somebody who doesn't know wrestling, who typed in female wrestler, Tessa Blanchard popped up. They said, "Oh, she looks good. We'll just trace her and we're done."
I mean, it's down to the most minute details. Like, they've got the shadow of her chin lining up correctly. They didn't try at all to make this seem like they were not copying that. They could have, they could have very easily taken the exact same frame of what her body is for that pose and changed her face, and people might not have necessarily recognized it. But I've got it on the thumbnail. It's overlapped on it. It's exactly the same thing, the same muscle striations and the same belly button alignment. Like, everything is exactly the same.
Well, somebody's very good at tracing.
How much do you have to edit that before the photographer can't sue the shit out of them?
I mean, if you change the hair and the face, you could always make an argument of being like, well, it's not
an average pose.
It's not quite derivative work, could have changed enough of it or whatever. But photoshopping out the background and just going into Photoshop and being like, all right, it's all orange and flat. Now we're done. These people that were working on this company and this game, you can't do that. You can't just steal images and just do that, And I'm curious now how much else in the game is like that. How many other assets did they take from another video game that they didn't have access to, that they shouldn't have? Or, is the back end of the game built from an engine that they shouldn't have had? Or, once you open up the idea that you flat out stolen something that really probably would not have been hard to do, you could have hired somebody from Fiverr to draw you a picture for $5 and it wouldn't have been a problem. Probably could have gotten your kid to draw a thing because it's cartoony. And you just stole it from like a Google search?
Well, do you think it's somebody who doesn't know that she doesn't work for WWE? Maybe they typed in WWE women's wrestler and Tessa popped up and they thought, oh, that's a wrestling ring. That must be WWE.
There still should be some quality control,
Listen, the game isn't half as broken as the last year's was. So there was a little bit of quality control.
Well, I mean, maybe the game's not as broken because they took it from another game that actually people did the work on it.
Well, at least it plays well.
That's crazy, though. The photographer that people had tagged and said, like, hey, like, this is your shot, whatever. He's, already kind of clarified that they released a patch. It's replaced the image. I don't know what they've replaced it with. Does anybody know that offhand?
I think they just got rid of it.
Well, they stole an image from a different company this time.
That's what I was going to joke around. Like, now it's something from ROH or whatever. Like, okay, we replaced that with Hikaru Shida. Just kind of... It's not looking good for that kind of a thing. WWE kind of... They're not, it's not like Vince McMahon's directly overseeing any of this. I'm sure he hasn't paid any attention whatsoever to this video game. But the more that these things happen, it's just another shot Just another punch to the gut. And it wasn't even like a day afterward, too. It's like it's launch day, and people are like,
it was
loading
hours before like midnight dropped on launch day. Like it was people who had a review copy of the game just noticed this, and it's people who like had early access because I got Russellson asked me if I wanted a review copy, and it was well into launch day, and I'm like, well, I wish you'd have told me before because I wouldn't have purchased the game.
Have you played it?
You purchased it.
I know. Fuck. They got my money. But I have played it. I've played it on Steam. It's fun. It's very fun, but you cannot play it by yourself. This is the kind of game where you need this like party of friends. So like playing with my friends is a good time. Doing the campaign mode, it gets repetitive, but it's better than 20. So I will say that it is better than the crap they released last year.
Shit in your hand, and it'd be better than 2K20.
You're not wrong, sir.
Hey, at least you know it's original. Nobody else is gonna have that shit. And if it is, then what the hell are they copying?
This is my shit. It belongs to me.
Drop a comment below, anybody who's tried out 2K Battlegrounds. Let me know what you think. Is it more Street Fighter or is it more 2K 19 or whatever? What's the case?
Okay, it's more like just random arcadey action. You would enjoy just picking Yokozuna and just like
you can pay
causing an earthquake.
Yeah, is it Yokozuna or is it who Saudi Arabia thinks is Yokozuna?
No, I'm pretty sure Saudi Arabia thinks The Rock is Yokozuna.
Let's move on here to some more speculation of some different things. WrestleVotes, very trustworthy source, said that somebody's not renewing their contract. Well, that's vague as all hell. And I don't blame them because if they don't want to spill the beans and, ruin their contact or something, that makes sense. But people started jumping immediately to Ricochet, and seemingly only Ricochet, who has since then said, where the hell is this coming from? No, I've never said that, whatever. Of course, people have lied in the past and said, I'm not going to AEW, and then they pop up the next week, or people have said, I'm not leaving WWE, and then the next time around the contract it falls through, and they go, I couldn't say that I was leaving. Could be the case.
Or people have said, I'm not coming back. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, that's another thing. So I guess the speculation topic that we can talk about here is if we know potentially for a fact, we don't know 100%, that somebody's not renewing their contract and it's not Ricochet if we're going by his word. We don't know everybody's contract situation. We know some people have signed, like, Rey Mysterio signed a new deal and Jeff Hardy signed a new deal, whatever. So we can roll out some of those names. Agree or disagree, it's got to be a big enough name that it's worth WrestleVotes reporting on and not something like Saxon Huxley decided that he's not re-signing with NXT UK or, Denzel Dejournette, who's now Desmond Troy, is not going to be returning to NXT any of the future.
Is that confirmed that he's Desmond Troy?
Isn't it?
Well, I don't know. I just know that they filed that trademark, and I think Meltzer said he was.
He was on NXT.
Say he was on 205 Live. What was he on?
205 Live was a completely different set of people. He was on NXT this week.
Oh, well. Well, there you go. Good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
I mean, they could always change the name again. I mean, they've had people change their name 6 times in a row, so he could just be Desmond next week, for all we know. Who do you guys think it could be?
I went with Sami Zayn, but that's not a big enough name. But that's the first name that came to mind.
I think that's big enough.
Has AJ Styles re-signed a new contract?
Yes.
Okay, because I know he's been fucking pouty as shit since the Paul Heyman stuff.
AJ signed a deal.
He claims that it's water under the bridge, but then he's also like, I don't fucking like this.
Well,
he was just complaining about the SmackDown schedule because he was having to miss his kid's baseball game or whatever it was. But it's funny how that coincides with Paul Heyman going to SmackDown and being a member of the roster on there.
My theory is it's Cesaro.
Cesaro, I don't like when now it's like the new TNA where everybody leaves. It's like, oh, well, AEW confirmed. But Cesaro's the one guy I'd like to see go to AEW and just become world champion.
He's one of those guys where leaving WWE wouldn't be a massive deal for WWE, but it'd be a massive get for AEW.
Yes.
He would fit AEW's aesthetic so much more. They would just come in as Claudio, and the people would be like, "It's Claudio! Oh my god, he's fucking great!" And he just wrestles, and
He
they
just
don't
be
care.
Claudio. It'll be great.
Right. I really think that. I mean, I don't know his contract status. Of course, I don't know anything backstage either because I'm not backstage. But that's the guy that strikes me because looking at the roster right now. Again, not to shit on anybody in particular, but like it's got to be a big enough name. So if it was, say, Eric from the Viking Raiders, I don't think it would be something where it's like we got to be super hush about this. Obviously, certain big names I think are a guaranteed no. It's not like Drew McIntyre's not going to fucking resign or whatever like that.
Well, you never know.
There's been crazier things in the past, but I don't think that that's going to be the case.
How long is Kofi's deal?
Kofi's a lifer.
You don't. What makes you so sure?
I got to imagine all three members of the New Day are lifers. But maybe not Mustafa Ali. Maybe not Kevin Owens. Maybe Robert Roode, for that matter.
So, according to, just to tie this into Robert Roode real quick, according to Sean Ross Sapp at Fightful Select, James Storm's contract with the NWA expired. And I am ready for beer money in WWE. I've been ready for beer money in WWE for the past 11 years. So
I would too if they weren't 80 years old.
Oh, come on. AJ Styles is like 43 or 44 and he's fine.
Yeah, now he's in WWE so he can wind down his career and get paid well.
Yeah, but that's what I said. I'm not looking for beer money in a company outside of WWE. I think they could just elevate the tag team division if there is one by the end of the year.
Rude lives in Canada. He hasn't been able to do anything.
Yeah, that's another issue.
So even if James Storm were to come in, you can't get Beer Money Inc. right now.
Well,
what shitty name would they give them to? Because they wouldn't go with Beer Money.
Well, but if you're not going to go with Beer Money, just don't do the team. Just call them Bobby Roode and James Storm.
That's what they would do.
Just
James Storm and Bobby Roode. They've been a big tag team over the years in other companies that we don't want to mention, and we don't want to call them anything like that.
They get pushed for 2 weeks and forgotten about the next. Like, it'd be nice to see them show up, kind of like how it was cool to see James Storm show up in NXT, but they wouldn't do anything.
In fairness, though, when James Storm showed up in NXT the first time, that was actually pre-Bobby Roode, and I thought Bobby Roode in NXT was a lot of fun. Like, I don't know.
I thought Bobby Roode was what brought the quality of all the main events down.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, he definitely didn't fit the NXT style, but I thought they did more with Bobby Roode than I thought they would do with Bobby Roode. And then they moved him to the main roster and did promptly what I thought they would do to begin with.
Well, to be fair, I thought he's one of those guys that would have done way better on the main roster than he would have done on the NXT roster. I don't know what the hell happened.
That was my issue. Was like, I thought Bobby Roode would be able to go and he should have main evented Mania. Like, he's a traditional WWE main event guy. And he did better on the so-called indie brand than he did on the main roster.
It wouldn't shock me if he's the name, though.
He's got to be like 46 now, right? Or something like that.
He's 40-something, for sure.
Yeah, all those Fortune guys are in their 40s.
But I'm thinking Roode's a really solid option for this. I think Mustafa Ali is a potential. I think that Cesaro is my still go-to guy. I don't think it's Nakamura because Nakamura's had plenty of things in the past where he's been basically like, yeah, I'm fine with staying where I am and whatever. But then again, he mostly wants to stay where he is because he wants to stay in America and surf on those beaches. He could stay in America and do that in AEW. Doesn't stop him. So
I also think he doesn't want to break his body in New Japan, and I don't blame him.
Yeah,
Shinsuke in AEW would be really good.
And that could be the case. I don't see if this is a true report that it's Wesley Blake, for instance. Then honestly, what's the story? He's just a guy that's not doing anything right now.
What's Alexa's contract right now? And I'm sure she's a lifer, but I'm sure she'd also want to leave WWE at some point.
Maybe it's just wrong conjecture or anything, but I got the implication from it that it was a guy.
It could have been. I thought about Owens, but I think Owens also signed a 5-year deal when AJ signed a 5-year deal.
He might have. Also, like, there's some people that we know, even if their contract is coming up the exact same day, where it's like, okay, we're narrowing it down to these people or something like that. That it's like you're not going to rule them out. Like, the Miz is not leaving WWE.
Well, he's signed with them through 2025. I am currently looking at the Fightful contract resource and trying to see who's, gonna expire soon.
Is Cesaro on that list?
Let's see. No, Cesaro's not one of the names that we know.
He's definitely 100% my pick of being like, if this is true, that's the guy to watch out for.
I would love it. I
also don't necessarily believe all these contract timelines that we get given. Multiple ones that Meltzer's reported have ended up being false. So
that's true.
Yeah, and you never know what the negotiations are behind the scenes. It could be that they're still negotiating a contract because they've like lapsed the contract, like Rey Mysterio. And then you start going in, oh, he's still under contract because he's still showing up. No, he's not. He's just working on a per date thing. So
it's like you'll hear someone go, oh, blank and blank signed a contract for this long. And then they'll be on Twitter like, no, I fucking didn't.
Yeah, then 2 weeks later they go, now I signed a contract. Like, look at AEW. They just like 2 weeks ago or whatever signed John Silver and Alex Reynolds. And they've been a part of the company for like a year.
It's like the third Dynamite. Yeah, they've been there forever.
That's strange. We know that like Will Hobbs is signed, and he only just signed basically based off of the Casino Battle Royale. So
when it comes to a guy like Meltzer's reporting, if he's reporting about TV ratings, it's probably true. Everything else take with a grain of salt.
Daniel Bryan's contract expires in September of next year, and Sami Zayn's at some point early next year as well. So there's that.
Sami Zayn's definitely an option, I think.
On the subject of weird places reporting, because this is from WrestleVotes. Like, I know we're talking about contract lengths we get from Meltzer a lot, but I've never heard of this place before. Is this the first time they broke a major story? Or
no. WrestleVotes has been like the most reliable source out there for a while. It's really like, it's odd because sometimes the reports are like this, where it's just sort of, hey, watch out for this. And I don't remember a single time where anything's been completely wrong.
They've never been completely wrong.
You know, for a while, the most consistent guy you could get news from was fucking Dolphin off Reddit.
Yeah, it might even be the same guy for all we know.
The thing with WrestleVotes is they do have that anonymity, but they have broken several stories. I think for like the last 2 years I've been following them, and they've been pretty consistent.
Sometimes it's something as simple as like they'll post like a GIF of like Roman Reigns, and then later on that night it's like, oh, that's when Roman Reigns returned, and it's just like hours beforehand or something.
Or it's like when Roman pulled out of Mania, they posted the GIF first of Roman and Braun, and it was like that was your take that Braun has beaten Goldberg for the belt.
Right, and sometimes they're the most reliable source as far as like new pay-per-views. So if they report something like, hey, Hell in a Cell is going to be moved to this date, I always just go ahead and move it. And it always ends up being the case. Unless they retroactively say, you know what, plans to change it again. And it's when, So I don't remember how long ago it was, but I think that it was WrestleVotes that had said TakeOver is coming October 4th. And this has been like a month that I've had that in my notes. The other day,
I was actually totally unsure because when you introduced the segment, you're just like, WrestleVotes are really reliable source. I'm just like, is he being sarcastic?
No, WrestleVotes on Twitter. I mean, that guy or girl running that, hats off to you. You got the shit figured out. But let me know who's not re-signing their contract.
Yeah.
Reach out to me. I won't tell anyone, I promise. But if you believe some other reports, then there's a possibility that Melina will return to the company, although she denies it.
So this is a report from Mike Johnson of Pro Wrestling Insider, who reported, like at this time last year, that Morrison was on his way back. And the funny thing is, I had written this up for Fightful under like report Melina headed back to WWE. And she went on Facebook and was like, it breaks my heart to do this, but no, I'm not coming back. 41, and I would love to one day, but it's not happening right now, and I'm sorry. But also, even if it was, aren't you mad at Dirt Sheets for spoiling the surprise? Which, before I get to that, I thought it was very funny that somebody commented on a Fightful story completely unrelated and was like, why aren't you addressing the Melina thing and the fact that you're making up lies? It's like, no, first of all, we didn't break it. And second of all, how many people don't go, oh, guys, it's totally fake. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Just kidding. I couldn't tell you. Like,
remember Edge's "No, I haven't," and "I haven't,"
okay,
or whatever.
in fairness to Edge, he's the only person who could do that, and you believe it because he's the guy who could never wrestle again and has been away from the ring for 10 years.
But I mean, you watched that 24 special and he flat out is like, fuck, they broke that and I had to try to lie and whatever. Like, he made it a point to say, yeah, that happens sometimes, and then we just flat out lie and say the opposite, and then it happens. So I mean, that right there confirmed. Once you open that up, like Pandora's box, man, it's just
So what I want to know, who's sitting around in a booking meeting and going, "You want to bring Melina back?"
Maybe it's the same people that book all the other things. It's the same ones that are like, how Vince is like, we can't name that person something Junior. I don't like the name Junior. And then somebody else goes, why don't we move Mandy Rose to Raw? And they go, what are we going to do with her? I don't know. What do you think? I'm going to write shit? Talk about that in a minute. But
I made the joke.
Don't get the idea of bringing her back. She adds nothing to the product. She was barely tolerable when she was there.
I think Melina's got something to offer, but I don't think she's going to move the needle too much.
She won't, but she's also somebody that people get nostalgic for now, and she was good for her time. She wouldn't be
her
good.
Her entire career was having bad wrestling matches and sticking her head and having people stick her heads in front of her butt. So, like, I don't really get the appeal to her. She really wasn't that good.
I'm just saying, I don't know. Over the past, 2 or 3 years, there has been this wild boom for Divas era nostalgia and how everybody's like, oh my God, they were so iconic and they got a Raw deal. And listen, again, Melina was one of the better ones. That doesn't mean that, Melina's on the level of a Charlotte Flair. But that being said, she did make the cameo last year where she was a ref. Maybe she just wants to be a ref. Or maybe she'll be Otis's lawyer. Who knows?
That'd be kind of great. She pops up, she's Otis's lawyer, and her entrance in a courtroom is doing the split.
Why not?
Let's do it. They've had weirder shit. I wouldn't mind Melina popping up for a minute if they make her some world.
Stick her with Morrison? Like, what do you do with her?
That'd be kind of funny too.
It'd be awkward, but I'd allow it.
I miss the wrestling business. You can do it still.
I don't know. Maybe she wins a battle royal and fights somebody. Hell, maybe she wins the battle royal and fights Io Shirai at TakeOver.
That is the extent of the thought process that the creative team put, Tony. I don't know. Maybe she wins a battle royal and does something.
Yeah. You know what? I would go so far as to say that's more than what they think of sometimes.
I don't know. I would like it because I think Melina is one of the better ones, and they could use it.
Hey, what's your favorite Melina match?
Obviously versus Alicia Fox.
It's a classic.
I love that.
If she does pop up, though, it's even more of a situation where just don't say anything. If there's a report about you and you want to try to say, no, that's not the case or something like that, just don't.
Yeah. I don't know why they're like, oh, wrestling's fake, guys. Hey, so we're breaking this story because wrestling's fake and we heard that you're signing. Oh, you dirt sheets just want to lie. Come on.
It's the typical scenario of anything else in life. If this is going against what I like or what I can benefit from, then I don't like it. If it's working in my favor, isn't this great, guys? It's the same as everything else. I mean, those same people that would complain about, oh, dirt sheets are doing all that kind of stuff, will go ahead and tell a dirt sheet something if they want it to spread. The news is awful on CNN, the same as it is on pro wrestling stuff. And
it really is. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. So don't trust any news anywhere 100%. If you see something with your own eyes, then you might be able to say that it happened. But the way that things are nowadays, you might not even be able to say that. And just, go with the flow. If you think Melina is going to return and you're looking forward to it and it doesn't happen, well, you got your hopes up for nothing. If you don't want her to return, might not. The end. Yep. That's kind of how it is. But it is a story, so that's why I wanted to talk about it. At the very least, if she does pop up, it'll be like, hey, remember how she said she wouldn't and then she did? Well, she's a fucking liar. So really quickly, I'm going to toss out another plug while we're at it. Merchandise shops, TeePublic and Redbubble. Should have done this on the Pro Wrestling Tee side of things, but I totally didn't think about that transition, so I'm just doing it now instead. Maybe if you want a Melina's fucking liar t-shirt, I'll put something up. I don't know. I highly doubt that I will, but hey, there's less of a chance that that's a copyright infringement than the 2K Battlegrounds issue, right?
Oh, there you go.
So, TeePublic and Redbubble for Smark Moment, Fanboys Anonymous, and A Mango Tees. If you want to pick up a shirt or any of the other kind of products that are out there that you can put any of those designs on, slap it on there, get up the revenue on that side of things, and I'll do more for Smark Moment or Fanboys, whichever side you are supporting. Let's talk about a trademark. One of our last hot tags here. Actually, our last hot tag before we start getting into the TV talk. AEW has filed a trademark for something called Blood Brothers. And some of the report seems to indicate that it's not so much a tag team name, but that it might be for a match. It says here, entertainment in the nature of wrestling contests. Entertainment services, namely wrestling exhibits and performances by professional wrestlers, providing wrestling news and information via a global computer network, providing information in the field of sports and entertainment via an online community portal, providing a website in the field of sports entertainment information, fan club services, namely organizing and staging events with wrestling fan club members.
That's the male version of heels.
Might be something along those lines, because it's like contests and club things and whatever.
That's the vibe I got. It's the male version of heels.
If that's the case, I'm not interested.
It's dumb. I hope not. That's a dumb name.
Okay, well, what's the female version of heels? Because I don't know what that is at all.
Heels?
Well,
yeah, what is it?
It is, which way do you want me to describe it? Do you want me to describe it as the company description or the reality description?
Give me the Tony Mango, what the fuck is this shit description?
It is Brandy Rhodes' attempt to make it seem like she is actually manufacturing a big step forward in the women's evolution and tapping into the market of being inclusive and, hey, we're taking this idea of women's empowerment and we are really harping on that. And we're getting pro wrestling fans that are women that give themselves a community that they can be a part of. And aren't we great?
Neat.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not something the three of us are applicable to because we're men. But that, if you go with the company side of things, is it's like, well, we're giving everybody a chance to tell their side of the story and whatever. As far as I'm aware, it doesn't seem like it's really gotten a whole lot of traction. But then again, I'm not the target audience. So maybe I'm just completely oblivious.
Because I am in this space and have to see it, I can tell you that it has gotten some traction. And the people that I know that have done it enjoy it. For all the flack that Brandy got for the, I think the yearly fee, they enjoy their time there. But I think to do a Blood Brothers, assuming that that's what this is for a second, it would just defeat the purpose. Because, then you're going to get people bitching and moaning, well, why do men even need this? Isn't the entire wrestling fandom mostly men anyway? It's just, I feel like if that's what this is, you're walking into a trap, and please don't, lead yourself into a trap.
Here's what I'm thinking that it might be. Maybe it's a match where they kind of mix up the idea of the blood and guts thing as well with the Deadly Draw tournament that they just did. Maybe it's something where it's like you're blood brothers in this type of thing because you are in a tag team match where the first blood thing is how it works, I don't think that that's a good idea, for the record. For anybody that's like, that's a terrible idea. Why would you pitch that? I'm not pitching it. I think it's a fucking horrible idea, but I could see it being the case,
Let me look up the trademark for Blood and Guts and see what that's described as to see if there are any parallels, because that is awful.
Yep.
I just want you to know that's.
I do not, under any circumstances, want that. For that matter, I would rather have this be just another terrible circumstances of Eric Rowan and Luke Harper tagging up and calling themselves the Blood Brothers, which I do not want.
I would be more okay with that than the thing that you said.
Right. I don't want either of those things, but I'd rather have the tag team thing of that. I'd rather it just be a different tag team, just says Blood Brothers and they're some guy and some other guy and their team.
Cody and Dustin. Do they have a tag team name?
Oh, they're Nightmare Family.
I thought, what's QT and Dustin?
Natural Nightmares.
All right, whatever, Tony.
Everything's a Nightmare variation. It's the Nightmare Collective, the Nightmare, I don't know, the Nightmare Dreamscape, whatever it is.
Yes, the Nightmare Dreamscape, indeed, Teddy.
Yeah. So it's something to pay attention to. Blood Brothers could be something that pops up next week on Dynamite, or it could be something that we never hear from again. But hey, maybe it's the name of the stable for Eddie Kingston's group.
That sounds more likely.
Maybe it's Colt Cabana and Orange Cassidy.
Blood Orange Brothers.
Blood Orange Brothers. There you go.
Yeah, I kind of like your idea about the Eddie Kingston team name.
We're not getting Death Triangle for a while because Pac's not there.
Yeah. Although, I don't remember if it was this week or the week before when Eddie Kingston was like, hey, where's your British friend? Where's your wife? I'm here for you. I enjoyed that just because he called out the obvious and more people should do that.
So let's round things up here with a little bit of talk about the TV side of things. But very quickly before we do, I want to mention that you might be listening to us on a different type of platform. Maybe you're listening to us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, as they call it now, or Google Podcasts or something like that. We are now actually also available on Amazon Music. Just got that confirmed last night. So you can check out Fanboys Anonymous shows and the Smark at Moment Smack Talk podcast on Amazon Music, which means you probably have more access to it when you're using an Alexa device or whatever else you might use or something like that. So, hey, it's another avenue, for you to check us out. I still say YouTube is the best thing for us if you want to help us out. And it's the thing that we kind of dedicate a little bit more of our focus to. But maybe you like Amazon Music and you just never were aware of it until now. Check it out.
How do you normally listen to your podcasts?
I listen through Google Play.
I'm a Spotify guy.
Actually, it depends. If the podcast is something on YouTube, I listen on YouTube, like Something to Wrestle. But Google Play, like if I'm like on the train or something like that, it's usually what I do with that. I have a tie-in through Plex. So I've used Plex for that. Spotify works really well. I don't do Spotify too much, but hey, they never had any kind of issues with my feed like TuneIn does. So
still dealing with that, are we?
Still dealing with that because TuneIn, after what was it, 2 months of not fixing this issue, they recently got back to me to say, "Hey, we realized we have an issue." So they are just not going to fix it probably. So don't bother on TuneIn. You never know if you're going to their response to how can people listen to older episodes was they have to search for the exact title of that episode. So if you want to listen to one of those, you're going to have to find it elsewhere on another platform and then copy and paste that over to get to that. Don't bother with that one. Check out Stitcher. Check out, any Anchor or any of the other ones that actually work, including Amazon Music. Seems like they're cool right now. Let's finish things up here with talking about the TV side of things. Let's talk about the one that I actually can't talk about. I have not watched Dynamite. I've heard that the street fight's great, and I've not watched anything.
The street fight's really, 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 really good.
Does it suck?
Yeah, I just outside of the street fight, there was the Evil East Thunder Rosa match, which kind of broke down.
Totally a shoot, right?
That's totally. And Dynamite was all right. They did a segment with Kip Sabian and Miro where they're just training together and trying to build a friendship before the whole wedding thing. The main takeaway from the show is that the street fight was really fun, and that Trent's mom flipped Santana and Ortiz the bird.
Did they show the cookies that she brought?
They did not show the cookies that
I was curious.
she brought.
I wanted to know if they were chocolate chip or sugar cookies or something.
Well, I think they showed them on Being the Elite, and they looked to be chocolate chip to me. Fun fact, Sean Ross Sapp interviewed her for Fightful. That's up on their YouTube now. And she's going to have a t-shirt shop soon. So that's wrestling.
I love how Orange Cassidy just popped out the trunk, by the way. It was a sweet spot.
Yeah, he's got a title shot next week. I would love to see him just beat, I was going to call him Luke Harper, Brody Lee, but I'm sure he won't.
Let's move on to Monday Night Raw. I mentioned before, Mandy Rose is a part of Monday Night Raw now.
She is.
I don't think that's going to be a good idea in retrospect. They keep moving people over to Raw on the women's division when SmackDown is the one that needs more people because we've got Nikki Cross versus Bayley again. They even referred to it this week as like a match that keeps happening for the past fucking year and a half.
When I returned to doing the podcast, you were bitching about Bayley versus Nikki Cross, and it's still happening.
I mean, I'm pretty sure at that point, like, this was still not as many matches as they've had since then.
At one point in this year, and I don't even remember when it was, I had counted that Alexa, Nikki, Sasha, and Bayley in some fashion, like where it's like, hey, Nikki's maybe not in the match, but it's like Sasha against Alexa, Nikki and Bayley are on the outside and they get involved or whatever. That quartet had over 30 matches. I'm fucking sick of it. But then again, we're talking about that next week when we get into Clash Champion stuff. But like,
well, hold on. I'll talk about this right now. Why are they not trying to do some kind of merging? Because clearly the only thing that was working for the women's division was Sasha and Bayley when they were going across both shows. And now that they've separated things again, the Raw scene looks like a mess. The SmackDown scene looks like a mess. Just merge.
I don't know why they didn't go with Mandy staying on SmackDown and getting the title shot against Bayley for Clash of Champions and then moving her afterward. Why not?
I'll be honest, this Otis and Miz thing has been one of my highlights because it's so stupid, but it's actually making me laugh because everybody knows their role. So I'm okay with the Mandy thing.
I mean, part of the SmackDown this week was Miz and Morrison had a dirt sheet and they provoked the idea that, hey, we got Mandy traded over there. Like, fuck you, Otis kind of thing. He came out stomping around and attacked them and everything. And then now they're going to sue him if he doesn't relinquish the Money in the Bank contract. Why not? It's more fun than some of the other stories. I'm down with that. But Mickey...
They said they were suing him for Money in the Bank negligence, which is the funniest term I've ever heard. And when the lawyer said, we're serving you, Otis got so excited because he's like, what are they serving us, Tucky? Some barbecue? Is it a hot dish? Like, that to me is more fun than 90% of other things.
I just feel like
Go on.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I'm hoping he ends up having to put it on the line against him, either Miz or Morrison, and dropping it, because it just feels like such a waste putting it on him.
I am here's the two scenarios I'm hoping. Otis relinquishes it to somebody who can actually take advantage of it, which I don't think is going to happen on SmackDown because it's Roman Reigns. I think he's holding that title until Mania at the very least, if not longer. But maybe somebody takes advantage of it on Raw. Maybe they do some kind of thing like that. We still know that there's supposed to be a draft at some point. We don't know if it's pre or post Survivor Series. But the other alternative is if you want to keep it on Otis, you make Roman Reigns a real fucking bastard and you use Otis as the puppy dog that he beats the shit out of.
I'm okay with it.
Like, Otis
that actually sounds like the most satisfying result, just to have Roman fuck him up.
Like, Otis tries to cash in the Money in the Bank and Roman just low blows him immediately or something like that. So it's like, he won the match by DQ, but he didn't win the title. And then he's just like, yeah, fuck it. You're not cashing in on me. And then they have a match at a pay-per-view and Roman beats the crap out of him. You know, just piss all over the floor kind of thing. Like,
but you're really good with these dog references.
He fights in a newspaper to the nose match, and he rubs his nose in the whole thing. Yeah. Then they have a dog kennel from Hell match,
which would be amazing.
Yeah.
I don't like that Money in the Bank has been useless the last 4 years. I don't know why. Ever since or maybe this is exactly why, but ever since they've introduced the women's Money in the Bank, they've downplayed the men's Money in the Bank so much. Like they did this stuff with Lesnar, which I guess you can argue is a good utilization of the briefcase. But even that, like you had Boombox Brock, which was fun for a week before they took it away because you can't have fun. And
well, now
everybody else has been a failure.
We got Boombox Brock, and then we got Lunchbox Otis.
Lunchbox Otis is the best of a bad situation, but nobody thinks Otis is actually going to cash in to the point where it's an ongoing joke in our fantasy league. Nobody's picked up the Money in the Bank guy because he's just not going to do anything with it.
He's not. Except get his ass whooped. So I feel like Mandy Rose was pushed over to Monday Night Raw because they have nothing for her in this storyline, and they figured they'd get her away. Welcome back, everybody. You're not aware of this, but we just had some technical difficulties that put us off on the side, so we're gonna pick up where we left off. Porygon didn't do anything wrong with it, though. If you're following the news, that's a joke that I'm sure nobody's gonna get, but it's something that we're talking about in the break. Where I had left off, in my opinion about something, was that I think that Mandy Rose was moved over to Monday Night Raw because they have nothing for her in this Otis storyline, and they figured if she was still on SmackDown, that they would have to try to figure something out for her, and it's easier to just go, she's on Raw now, and then go, what are we going to do on Raw? I don't know, but at least she's not in the way, that kind of thing. It's really making me second guess the idea that I picked her up for the Fantasy League. I might have to drop her later on today.
She will be used at some point, but you might be safe to drop her.
You would think that, but look at the people on Raw. What are they doing with Bianca Belair?
Yeah, you got me there. I can't say anything.
There's a report that they're going to sign Melina. They have no idea what they're doing.
There's also a matter of what are they doing with the Mickie James situation, because Mickie James had a match on Raw. She was against Asuka, and it ended with the referee saying, gotta stop, she's injured. Whereas Mickie was going for a pinfall and was not injured. Some kind of weird miscommunication going on there.
An overprotective referee, or a referee that saw her hand hit the ground and thought she was tapping and was like, oh, well, I made the call. Let's just say I decided she couldn't continue.
Either way, it's weird. And it sucks because that kind of takes Mickie out of the equation for the potential title shot. Not that she would have won the title anyway, because they immediately moved on to Zelina Vega. And now it's like, is Asuka fighting Mickie? Is Asuka fighting Mickie and Natty and Alana or Zelina?
It's safe to say that you can rule out Natty and Lana right now.
I don't think it's safe to say that. I think that we're going to get the traditional, we have no idea of what the story could be, so we're going to throw a bunch of people in together because the sum of the parts is going to be good enough for you. If they have Asuka versus Mickie versus Natty versus Zelina in a fatal 4-way and Lana's just on the outside, then they're going to go, isn't that good? You got Mickie, you got Asuka, you got Zelina, you got Natty. That's a lot of star power. And then you go, but none of them have mattered in a while. And then they go, God damn it, Natty's won the championship. Mickey's a 6-time win. You know, it's the typical, everybody has short-term memory loss and nobody's going to remember this, but everybody needs to remember the things that we need them to remember when we need them to remember it. That kind of thing.
I would laugh if the person pitching that was just like, Alana is the best. She's number one. Just, like,
they'll be like, it's a good lineup. Asuka's the 2-time Raw Women's Champion. She's won a lot of things. She's a strong champion going in. We're going to give her some strong opponents. Natty is a future Hall of Famer. She's a 1 or 2-time champion or whatever the hell it is. Mickie James, a 6-time Women's Champion. Isn't she a bona fide Hall of Famer and a legend? And we've got Zelina Vega. She's this Spitfire. She's been, red hot with her tag teams on Monday Night Raw. And she's the guy, she's the girl, not the guy, that can really bring a new element to this. And Lana's there.
I don't like the Zelina thing because it's incredibly, again, like you said, short-term memory. Because even if you finally want to split Angel and Andrade, why is it that Zelina is now like, yeah, well, I'm gonna be a badass wrestler and I'm gonna fight Asuka? When the last 2 times we saw her as a wrestler, she's getting thrown the fuck around by Bianca Belair, getting like no offense in.
Yeah, Bianca, who should be doing well enough that she could be fighting for the championship, and they just forgot about her. It's kind of ridiculous.
But Lana's here.
Lana's there. Maybe. Maybe not.
You know what would be super cool? I'd be okay with like a straight hour of this. Asuka defending her title in Raw Underground. Just fucking line him up, she knocks him down.
I'd be fine with it. Something different. Why not? We know that she's not going to drop into any of these people anyway, so let's do something different for fun.
The last hour being Raw Underground, it can just be Connor TV.
I'd be, you know what? That is one of the most fun YouTube channels.
She could defend her title against like a perfect ramen bowl or something like that.
Yes.
I kind of want ramen. Street Profits beat Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura. Some people were saying that would lead to a title unification match. We know that that's not going to be the case.
I don't know why. Why, Tony?
Because you have to have Cesaro against and Shinsuke Nakamura against the Lucha House Party again. I think that there's been 3 pay-per-views at this point where I said, well, they got to do the match because they've been doing it for so long. It's got to just end here. And then another pay-per-view goes by, and another pay-per-view goes by, and another one. Now they're finally doing it for the umpteenth time. We'll talk about that next week, of course, but that's the thing. Lana had some kind of stuff going on. MVP had some stuff going on. Hurt Business were basically like, we're going to take out Retribution. They kind of did to a certain extent. Retribution had interfered in the Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre match to make that a no contest. And it was Keith Lee and Drew McIntyre standing tall at the end of that. They're going to fight again next week. I don't know what they're doing with this. I don't know if they're just trying to set up a triple threat and they're dragging that out, or
how can they set up a triple threat when they've confirmed an ambulance match?
You do a triple threat ambulance match. 2 people have to go in the ambulance.
Well, that's just not sanitary. COVID.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen, by the way. I think that their game plan for the ambulance match, I'll reiterate this next week a little bit more in detail. I think it's a no contest with both going in there. And I think that they literally only are having an ambulance match because it's a new tie-in with the toy. But
the what is it, the
Wreck-It Mobile or something like that?
It's the Wreckin' Slambulance, which I'm sure you love because that's a pun.
I like that. I didn't know it was called that, but that makes it better.
When watching the Hurt Business charge down to the ring to take out Retribution, it just like they feel like they're about as imposing as Retribution like was meant to be.
Yeah, they seemed so much better, didn't they? It was like Hurt Business is gonna fuck these guys up.
Right? They look so much more imposing and dominating compared to Retribution.
That'd be great if that's the whole point of Retribution, is to have a team that Hurt Business can fuck up and then look better and be like, yeah, that's what they're the Hurt Business.
It's the importance of a suit, because Cedric Alexander came out early in the night wearing the shirt, and by the end of the night, they're all dressed up and ready for a fight, and they just looked badass. Like one of the very few times that, wrestlers in 2020 looked like wrestlers looking for a fight. I thought it was great.
What other stuff we got going on from Raw? Cedric beat Ricochet. Bobby Lashley beat Eric. We got Raw Underground stuff. Braun Strowman a part of that now. I don't know if he's actually a part of the Raw roster or if he's just doing that for the sake of doing it, but he's going to fight Dabba-Kato next week, maybe, if they don't just lie about it like they've done with other Raw Underground matches in the past.
It's funny because I think we had recorded a 2002 Heyman SmackDown podcast, and I asked Callum, I said, Strowman's going to lose points for Wago because he's not been on TV for a while. And then he shows up and wins at least 3 fights, and now he's on Raw Underground and looks like a badass. And yeah, we've totally forgotten that he was on SmackDown and won the title at Mania. But, again, short-term memory, guys.
And forgotten the whole storyline with Alexa Bliss and, yeah.
Callum's were all about the bells bullshit. I should have got more points.
I will actually be on your side with that because he threw around a bunch of people.
I am all for you not getting any more points. If it happens with one of my guys, then I disagree.
I'm just saying, if he ever changes the rule on that, I'm asking for retroactive points with interest.
With interest? What's the interest rate?
100%.
Seth Rollins and Dominic Mysterio were in their match. Dominic's been a part of a lot of stuff lately, and we got a whole thing going on with this. I think the most interesting part of this was post-match, where Murphy was momentarily tended to by Aaliyah Mysterio. So they might do a romance thing with that, which, did you think, we said this a lot this year, did you think at the beginning of the year, did you think last year, that kind of thing, did you think 2 months ago that we'd be like, here we go, we're going to get a Murphy and Rey Mysterio's daughter love angle going on?
Well, I will say I've never seen like a 5-second moment get so many people talking so fast.
You haven't collected the heel and face turn list.
Yeah.
You know, how many times has somebody's like, that person looked to the left, that's a heel turn?
For real though, like this was like a brief moment where she just looked at him, rubbed his arm, and was like, everybody, oh, they're clearly gonna do a romance angle. Which, by the way, is bullshit because 7 days before, she was perfectly fine beating the shit out of him with the kendo stick.
Yeah, but that's different. It's her, you know, it's like one of those like abusive couple type situations where it's like one time they switch to one way, one time they switch the other way, you know? She's fine with beating the crap out of Murphy, but if somebody else beats the crap out of Murphy, then it's like, oh.
Well, clearly that's what it is, you know? Dominic, on the other hand, should not be as good as he is. He's really good. I've had nothing but fun watching him wrestle.
I don't think that he's great, but he's surprised me. I'm glad he's part of the roster. I'm glad they signed him and that they're actually doing something with him. I fully expect him to also be a part of the Survivor Series team too. That's way ahead of time.
I can't stop giggling at how much bigger he is than Rey Mysterio.
Yeah. But you know what? He's a natural. He's clearly got a future. Rey obviously made the right call by signing so that WWE would utilize his kid because he feels like a bigger star than Ricochet at times, you know? And
is he taller than Ricochet?
It must be because he's taller than Ricochet. But it's amazing that in 2-3 months they've made Dominic Mysterio feel like a top level guy on the Raw brand.
Did a lot better than Eddie Guerrero's kid. God, she bombed.
He is Eddie Guerrero's kid.
Yeah. That's still, they have to do the storyline about that at some point, right? When he turns heel on Rey and he goes like, you know what? I wish I was Eddie's kid or something like that. Like,
changes his name to Dominic Guerrero.
Yeah, why not? It'd be great. Who's that jumping out the sky? It's not Rey Mysterio's kid. I'm not racist.
I will say I know that some people are against Rollins' Messiah angle, but one of my favorite Seth Rollins moments is him going to Angie and saying, "Oh, you did a hell of a job with that one. I hope she turns out better." Because it's just like a real dick move after you just got finished beating up this kid for like the 10th time this month. And I've enjoyed it. I'm going to miss Rollins when he goes away because Becky has the child.
Very quickly, let's touch on NXT UK because I'm sure not a whole lot of people necessarily care, but it was the relaunch. I don't feel any more positive about NXT UK than I ever did. I feel really underwhelmed with the relaunch. I was hoping that they would have done some different things, but instead it was like, hey, here's Aoife Valkyrie beating Isla Dawn again. She hasn't changed.
That Isla Dawn.
Here's a random match between Noam Dar and Ilya Dragunov. I like Noam Dar. I think Dragunov's got something to offer, but I think that he's a little overhyped in some ways. They did like a Saxon Huxley vignette for him, and it's like he's fighting Walter next week. I wonder who's going to win that fucking match, you know? Kaylee Ray cut a terrible promo with Piper Niven. Terrible in the sense that I just can't stand Kaylee Ray cutting promos. It's just an accent thing. I'm sorry. But I just, that's full. The same thing with Nikki Cross this week. I was like, my God, I can't even understand some of those things. And that's entirely my fault. I fully admit it. I'm an ignorant fucking American. And I'm just like, I'm not a big fan of that, you know? Like,
I wish I could be more hyped to get back into NXT UK, but after everything that happened, the whole industry feels bruised over there.
It's just the biggest thing I could say about it is the BT Sports Studios looks pretty good. All things considered.
I wish they'd go back to the venue that they used for the tournament. I always loved the ceiling there.
The Blackpool one?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really nice looking building.
Maybe they will. Who knows what they're going to do with a future takeover or something like that. Suck NXT, though. Io Shirai beat Shotzi Blackheart. Next week, we're going to get a number one contenders battle royal to determine who fights the NXT Women's Champion Io Shirai for that title at TakeOver, which is going to happen October 4th, so confirmation on that. No name for it. So right now, I'll just have it listed as TakeOver 31. So
hold on, is that in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Is this the fastest build to a takeover ever?
It might be. Because they're just
Yeah,
pushing that along. I mean, next week, we're going to get the number one contender for that. We know that Finn Balor is going to fight the winner of this Gauntlet elimination match. Eliminator match? Which one is
Gauntlet Eliminator. It's a
Gauntlet Eliminator.
It sounds like a contraption from the
Eliminator's back?
Spider-Man series.
It's 5 people. They showed 9 people when they said it's 5 people. And we know 3 of the 5 so far. It's Kushida, Kyle O'Reilly, and Cameron Grimes. So 2 more people. Who knows who they'll be? Maybe Velveteen Dream. Maybe Adam Cole. Maybe Johnny Gargano. I don't know. Bronson Reed was part of the mix. Roderick Strong, I think, was too, or something. I don't think that they're gonna put in like Strong and Fish, because now we got Strong and Fish definitely heels. They fought Killian Dane and Drake Maverick. They don't. I think that was kind of fun. Drake Maverick went on his own. Killian Dane's backstage laughing about the idea that he's not helping out his tag team partner, and William Regal's like, "You gonna actually like go out there and help him? You know, not be a dick." But Fish and Strong are firmly heels. They're still just flat out heels. Adam Cole's been going in that babyface direction. And Kyle O'Reilly, oddly enough, after a spot where Tommaso Ciampa, he had beaten Desmond Troy earlier in the night, Jake Atlas came out and said, "I'm going to fight you next week again." Jake Atlas was attacked by Tommaso Ciampa, and it was Kyle O'Reilly who helped make the save. So he's a babyface.
Yeah, so that comes on the heels of Fish and Strong wanting to beat up Maverick, and he was like, "Do we really need to do this, guys?" So maybe they are going to split O'Reilly away from them. If that's the case, I'd like to see O'Reilly win this Eliminator and then just win the title, and you can do a lot of fun stuff with Dissension in the Undisputed Era, even though I've never wanted to see that. I think that's more of a fun story than, hey, what's Finn Balor going to do with this belt? Because I feel like I've seen that.
They can probably get a good 6 months out of the Undisputed Era feuding against each other. You've got potential for fatal 4-ways, tag matches, a lot of good shit they can do. I love
and they all work well together.
I love the direction of having Kyle O'Reilly as a babyface. I think he's my favorite out of the group. So I'm definitely happy to see him get any type of push.
At face value, I wouldn't have thought that this would have been the direction that they would have gone. And I wouldn't have thought that this would have even been the pairings. But you know what? It makes sense. Roderick Strong is the number 2. Adam Cole, number 1, obviously. Fish and O'Reilly are the tag team. And you'd think that they would stay together. But Fish is the weak member of the bunch. He's not only the oldest, he's also the one that's gotten injured the most. He tends to not talk as much for a lot of these things. So if you're going to put
much of a singles career either compared to the rest of them.
So if you're going to put the 2 that can kind of hold their own a little bit more and the 2 that might need a little bit more of a push, you're going to split Fish and O'Reilly and have them with Strong and Cole. And then by that matter, who's going to be the babyface? Well, Kyle O'Reilly's a more fun babyface, so Fish goes with the heel and Strong's the heel. It makes sense. I want to see this, even though I don't want the group to break up.
I'd be okay with O'Reilly winning it. And like I said, go all the way with it. It's different. NXT could really use different right now.
I would not be shocked at all if one of the other people in this Gauntlet Eliminator is Roderick Strong. And then at some point in that match, it's O'Reilly versus Strong. And then that pushes them further, We got the Damien Priest retaining the NXT North American Championship over Timothy Thatcher. Glad I dropped Thatcher ahead of time. Kushida beat Austin Theory. Breezango retained the tag titles over Imperium. Xia Li may be turning heel because she teamed with Jessie Kamea against Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter, and Xia Li wasn't all that into the whole post-match hug type of situation. So, interesting episode of NXT. Not the best, not the worst. Some good things happening.
I enjoyed the women's title match the most.
What else do we have from SmackDown to talk about? We already talked about a lot of these kind of things. So, Jey Uso doing some stuff. Matt Riddle is doing a thing now where he's saying bro works for every word. I don't know how that's going to work out in the court, but...
yeah, I am flabbergasted.
Oh, case dismissed.
It's like, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Bro.
Fuck, I want to say this as an angle. This would be really good.
Alexa Bliss is doing a whole thing with, she is like in a trance now if somebody mentions The Fiend.
I love that.
Better than the Moment of Bliss section of the night.
You didn't enjoy Lacey Evans being a horrible actress?
Or Nikki Cross cutting the promo that I was talking about earlier, or the match, or the fact that Nikki Cross is fighting Bayley. Yeah. No.
I just like that they went as far as to have Alexa Bliss say, listen, you've been fighting her a lot, and you don't win, so what are you going to do?
Let's see. We got Sasha Banks talking about how she was beaten up, but if these walls could talk and if they could say things, then if they could say things, if they could talk, then they could talk and they could say things. And I'm sad. Right, she repeated herself like 6 times. Come on.
I know that you don't like this angle and you wish it died a year ago.
2 years ago.
2 years ago. I'm sorry. But it's the best thing they have. Outside of a heel Roman, it's the best thing.
I can't agree with that. I have more interest in whether or not that Money in the Bank briefcase has the wrong date on it than this tag team situation with the Golden Role models and all that. Just put Old Yeller out in the back and shoot him. Get the angle over with, you know?
I want this match for WrestleMania. And they've already proven that they don't have any other SmackDown women's matches you can do for WrestleMania.
That's because they keep taking everybody off of SmackDown. They go, hey, we've got nothing on SmackDown. What do? I don't know. Let's take somebody off of them and put them on Raw and not use them.
Or maybe they can put Melina on SmackDown. She's had a real few good matches. What was your favorite one again, Rob?
The one with Alicia Fox, obviously.
You know what? At this point, if they said, look, we spent a shit ton of time waiting for this and we decided not to do it, we're going to have Bayley versus Melina, I'd be like, fine, just don't do the Sasha thing anymore. Just stop it. It's just whatever. Just move on. Stop it. So I'm not a fan.
If they want to bring old talent, there's better women to bring on. Shit, like Paul Gail came out of retirement.
She'll never come back.
She's completely loyal to TNA.
Yeah, she's every time it seems that there's any story that comes out about Gail Kim doing anything, it's her crapping on something WWE related. She and Ryback could form like an anti-WWE Facebook chat or something.
In fairness, though, when she left, it was awful. They were awful.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that she didn't just cop out and eliminate herself in a battle royal and everything too.
Would you have wanted to be eliminated by Kelly Kelly?
Maybe.
You know who totally would eliminate themselves from a battle royal? Ivelisse.
Oh.
No, that requires effort, doesn't it? Wouldn't she just want to sit there and not do anything? Allegedly. There you go. No selling's fun.
Oh God.
I want to make some kind of a joke of, you know what else is not selling right now? But I don't want to say that about the merchandise because I want people to buy things. Sami Zayn and AJ Styles had a match and Jeff Hardy came out and he was like, I'm tired of doing this. And he has a he has a ladder. So, hey, look at that. We're getting a ladder match. That's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that.
All right, but I was reading way too much into this because he took out a table, threw a chair to the side, and then picked up the ladder. I was like, oh, hopefully we get all three, and they just do a TLC match.
You know, it'd have been great. He's like, I got a table here, I got a ladder here, I got a chair here. I want us to fight the Caribbean strap match.
This goes without saying that this ladder match should kick all kinds of ass at the pay-per-view, but I guess we'll see next week.
It might be my match of the night. I'm hoping that it's got the potential of doing what it should do, which it's a steal show. Well, we talked about the Otis lawsuit. They did a fun thing here where Sheamus was told that his car was being towed away, and Big E was like, I'm going to fuck up that security guard that did this kind of thing to me. Larry, I think that they had called him.
Well, no, he said, I don't even know your name. I'm just going to call you Larry.
Yeah.
You like that, Larry?
I like that. Good continuity for him to want to get back, payback on that guy.
So, Larry is actually Kennedy Kendrick, I think they said his name was. It's a Lance Storm trainee. And Adam Pearce was like, wait, Lance, he's one of yours? And you're letting him take payoffs from Sheamus? And he's like, times are hard. I think that's ironic because Lance Storm was recently let go by the company. But outside of that, I thought this angle was good. Big E looks like a badass and proved after, a month of talking that, yeah, he can be serious when he needs to be serious, so shut up.
And Samoan Street Fight. Roman Reigns and Jey Uso won that. That was the thing.
Roman looks so mad that he didn't get the pin.
Yeah, I liked what they're doing with Roman so far. I'm really digging that.
I'm still not used to his teeth.
I'm sure that he's having a harder time getting adjusted to his teeth than other people are.
And they also showed that promo for the mystery Carmella woman.
Yeah, they showed like half of her face, and it's like, who is it?
It's fucking Carmella.
Then again, it's the same people that are, Jessamine Duke and Marina Shafir. They're talking to her friend that they've been talking to the entire time they've been, even before they were signed to the company, and they're like, what the fuck are they doing? She's still there talking to Shayna.
But Graves looks like a fucking asshole. It's like, you know who that is.
Yeah.
The only way I get excited for Carmella returning is if Enzo and Cass show up with her.
Nah, that'd be funny as hell. If that's like they show another vignette and it's like the mirror moves out of the way and it's fucking Enzo instead.
How you doing?
Why not? Just do it. Why not? It's 2020. Everything's good. Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. It's just the world's going to shit. So
yeah.
I think that's it. Those are the hot tags.
Yeah.
We ended it with Enzo. Good. Fuck me.
Well, we ended it with RVG, so we're a news podcast now.
Yeah, if you want more talk about whatever it is, then drop a comment below and we'll try to respond with anything else that's going on here. And if not, then we'll carry it on into next week, because next week we got Clash of Champions predictions, another episode of the Hot Tags. The next thing you're going to be hearing from us is going to be the next episode of the Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast, which is coming up a couple hours after this, depending on how many hours I need to to edit, because we got some, those audio issues. Goddamn Porygon. But
you didn't do anything, Tony.
No, he didn't do anything. He's totally fine. Porygon 2, though. Watch out for that fucker. But, yeah, drop a comment. Tell us your thoughts on all these things, whether you agree or disagree. Just keep the discussion going and tune into all the other things that are happening soon. But before we round things out entirely, we got some other plugs we're going to talk about. I did most of mine. I'm going to pass around the baton here. The plug baton. That sounds awful. Way go.
All right, I haven't got all my own accounts set up properly yet, so I'm just going to plug the Megamaniacs on Facebook, facebook.com/the Megamaniacs. It's where we post a bunch of bullshit.
And if you want to see more wrestling bullshit, you can check out Fightful.com and WrestleZone. I shouldn't say that. They're legitimate news sources. And if you really want to know about certain things, like maybe one of the AEW Dynamite matches that broke down into a shoot, check out Fightful Select.
Yeah, Jericho and Hager.
Yeah. Sean Ross Sapp works very hard on his scoops, and you should check that out. If you were already a subscriber, you would have seen exclusive stuff of his interview with Trent's mom, Sue. And Sean Ross Sapp coining the phrase, Hulk Hogan had his Hulkamaniacs. Do you think you will have Sue Porters? And I'm just saying that for Tony because Tony loves puns.
That's pretty great.
But yeah, you can check me out on Twitter at DudeFelice and check out the Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast. Really love the discussions I have with Callum on that show, and it's always a good time.
Also, agree or disagree. Chocolate chip, best cookie. If you disagree, remember you're wrong. But
yeah, like hold on, Wago, chocolate chip, right?
Top of my head, yeah, I'd have to think harder, but I think so.
Well, as long as you're not like, oh, oatmeal raisin is where it's at.
Oh no, but Jonna is an oatmeal raisin. That's her favorite.
Can you tell Jonna she's no longer invited to my wedding?
Hey, Tony said you're not invited to his wedding because you like oatmeal raisin.
Yeah, I'm sorry for your inevitable divorce.
I know Kevin Owens agrees. He's talking about chocolate chip cookies in the past. Well,
yeah, you only liked him so much because they were fucking laced, though.
Well, when in doubt, it's chocolate chip. There's your words of wisdom for the day. And check me out at Tony Mango, at A Mango Tree, at Fanboys and On, at Smark Out Moment, at All Talk Show, at your street corner. I don't know.
How you doing?
And we will see you next time, everybody. Thanks for watching this episode. Tune in next time. But for now, this has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.